Tonight, on the agenda with Steve Paikin.
Create jobs.
Lower taxes.
Income splitting. Freedoms.
The four hopefuls, the PC leadership candidates, debate right here on the agenda.
The agenda with Steve Paikin.
I never considered myself a theoretical architect. Curiously enough, even though I sat at a desk with a pen and pencil and drew drawings that seemed to be looking for life somewhere, I did not think of myself as theorizing. I'm not an architect who costs a lot of money. But anybody who comes and asks me, says, I have $10, can you build me? Yeah, I'll say yes, I'll do it. Yeah, it seems a worthwhile cause. Yes, whatever it is.
TVO makes you think. The agenda with Steve Paikin is presented by
Vale Inco Limited, a pioneering nickel mining company transforming mineral resources into essential ingredients for everyday life.
Ontario's 33,000 chartered accountants, public policy leaders since 1879. More information is available at casforchange.ca. Tonight, on the agenda with Steve Paikin.
From taxes
The tax burden on working families is too high.
to tribunals,
Abolishing the human rights tribunals and protecting our rights in real courts.
from kids
And to help ensure that all children learn to read.
to cars,
Let's ensure that the dealerships throughout our communities survive.
and the economy.
Ontario's economy has hit a wall and needs to rebuild.
Who will be the next leader of the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party?
Lower taxes. Smaller, more efficient government.
We need to have competition in our healthcare system. That is the only way we're going to find efficiencies.
And making financial and economic literacy part of our high school curriculum.
25 years of business experience, my 14 years of experience in government.
How would they bridge the gaps within the party?
Before they even tackle the urban areas, move back into the suburban areas, which quite frankly is the largest growing demographic in the province.
And be relevant to a changing province.
An important thing for our party to reach out to the new Canadians, which we haven't always done effectively.
Elliott, Hillier, Hudak, and Cleese. The four Tory leadership hopefuls. That's tonight on the agenda.
The agenda with Steve Paikin.
And joining us now on the debate for the full hour tonight, in alphabetical order, Christine Elliott, the MPP for Whitby-Oshawa, Randy Hillier, MPP for Lanark, Frontenac, Lennox and Addington, Tim Hudak, the MPP for Niagara West Glanbrook, and Frank Cleese, the MPP for Newmarket Aurora. And we will be live blogging during the course of the debate tonight. Our Mike Miner will be moderating the chat, so if you'd like to weigh in, visit tvo.org/fifth column, or on Twitter, use the hashtag #TheAgenda. And apparently, if you're all media savvy, you know what all that means. Let's, before we go any further, do a full disclosure here. I have an 11-year-old son who got very interested in politics this past year. And so, of his own volition, not at Dad's prompting, he never listens to me anyway, he volunteered for Christine Elliott's campaign. And he helped out on a couple of your events. So we put that out there just in the interest of full disclosure. And now let's get going. How is the state of this race today? Let's find out. New members signed up. Tim Hudak's campaign is in first, they say, with 14,000. Christine Elliott's in second at 11,500. Frank Cleese's with just over 10,000. And Randy Hillier's with 3,200. Those numbers according to the Toronto Star from last month. There may be newer numbers, fresher numbers since then, but that's what we've got to date. How about in terms of campaign contributions? The Hudak campaign says they're up around 550,000. The Elliott campaign at over 540,000. The Cleese campaign at 462 plus, and the Hillier campaign nudging up to $100,000. And one more graphic to give you a sense of where the race is at. Caucus support. Tories haven't got a very big caucus, as you know, but what they have breaks this way. Tim Hudak with 12 caucus support, Christine Elliott with 5, Frank Cleese with 2, Randy Hillier with none, and undeclared members with 3. Now, I know the four of you have traveled all over the province and had the pleasure of each other's company a few times before this in leadership debates. But for many of the people watching tonight, this is the first time they will have had exposure to you. So I want you each to take a minute right now. Tim, we drew lots. You came first.
Sure.
Tell us why you'd be the right guy to lead this party at this time in its history.
Well, I want to take Ontario down an entirely different path than the one we're on. Under Dalton McGuinty, we're dead last in economic growth. We've lost some 330,000 manufacturing jobs. We've plunged to an $18.5 billion deficit. And Steve, who watching the agenda tonight ever would have believed that the mighty province of Ontario would become a have-not province? I want to put conservative ideas into action, lower the tax burden on families, on businesses, to create jobs in our economy, less red tape, and control government spending. Because I believe that when we stand firmly on our conservative principles and speak with clarity and strength to middle-class families across this province, we're rewarded by voters and will make Ontario #1 again.
Okay. Frank Cleves, you drew second straw, so give us your 1 minute on why you think you'd be the best person to lead this party right now.
Steve, what this is really all about is who can win the next election and bring principled and responsible leadership back to the province of Ontario. I respect all of my colleagues very much. We all bring different perspectives, but I think it's about qualification and experience. I have 25 years of real-life business experience that I bring. I think in these tough economic times, it's important that the Premier of this province understands how the real world of business works, what it is that's going to take to bring recovery about in this province. I have that experience. In addition to that, I have 14 years as an MPP and a cabinet minister. I think it's important not only that you know how government works, but what it is about government that doesn't work. And there's a great deal about government that doesn't work that I want to fix. And I have 35 years of in-the-trenches experience with our party. And perhaps the most important thing is that I have been elected and re-elected in one of the most highly ethnically diverse ridings in the province of Ontario. If as PCs we are going to win the next election, we have to know how to unleash the electoral strength of the new Canadian communities in this province. I have that experience, and I believe that I can deliver that experience to the province of Ontario.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cleese. Christine Elliott, you drew number 3. Your turn for 1 minute.
Thank you, Steve. It starts with experience. I have 30 years of experience as a professional and a small businesswoman. I also have 20 years of experience working as a community volunteer, working with people with special needs, adults and children with developmental and physical special needs. And I think it's important for a leader to have that experience. Secondly, it's about vision. My vision is to create a stronger Ontario and to reach out to people who are share our values, but who are not traditional conservative supporters. And we do that around the twin principles of our economic conservatism and the fact that we are compassionate and we do reach out to vulnerable people. I also have a plan to achieve that vision called Path to Victory, the detailed tactical plan to get us from now until October 2011. I'm the only candidate that's put that out there. Thirdly, I think it's about judgment, about having the judgment to know which policies to bring in. My flat tax isn't my idea. Working with our grassroots volunteers about how to make Ontario more prosperous, and having the judgment not to bring in politically toxic policies that can tank us in the next election. And finally, I think it's about looking forward and not looking back.
Randy Hillier.
Well, some of the great failings of the Conservative Party in recent history, Steve, has been our leaders' unwillingness or to advance and stand and defend conservative principles. That's not one of my weaknesses. Everybody in Queen's Park and around this province who knows me knows that I stand for conservative principles and won't back down. That's what we have to do as a party. That's what I bring to this leadership race, is a clear alternative. The people of Ontario have not had a clear alternative. They have not had a clear conservative choice in the last few elections. That's why I'm in this race, to make sure that the Conservative Party stands tall, stands proud, defending our principles, and bringing our party to power by giving people a true and clear choice.
Okay, thanks for those opening statements. Let's now get into the issues, and I suspect a good place to start is education. This is a very big week, particularly for early childhood education. Dr. Charles Pascal released a report making some suggestions. For example,